This is Twink. To say that he was a special cat would be an understatement. There are many things that made him special. He was much more than a cat to me. He was one of my best friends. I've had many great cats in my lifetime, but Twink was different. He was a cat that wanted to be as much a part of my life as I wanted him to be a part of mine. He never failed to show me how much he loved me. This is my love letter to my cat. Dear Twink, you were special from the moment I laid eyes on you. Matt and I had been married for about 6 months before we got you. I remember happily jumping on Craigslist to search for the newest edition that would turn our one-cat household into a two-cat one. I came across your picture with your litter mates and quickly set off to pick you up before Matt could change his mind. You were so tiny, yet you had a mighty roar. The whole drive back home, you cried in the carrier, and I unlatched it and let you crawl out. I put my hand out and you promptly curled up into it for the rest of our drive home, never hearing another peep from you. No one knew it at the time just how big you'd get, both physically and figuratively. As soon as I arrived home, I walked you back to the office where Matt was playing on the computer. He asked me where you were, and I happily produced one tiny kitten in the palm of my hand. If you know me personally, you know that I have child-sized hands. So this in and of itself gives you an idea of just how small Twink was as a kitten. Marble, our other kitty, didn't like you at first. In fact, she hissed at Matt for allowing another cat to exist in her domain. But as you know, that didn't last very long. She quickly took a liking to you and became like a surrogate mother kitty, showing you the ropes. You quickly settled in, making our tiny duplex your kingdom. One thing that was evident from the very beginning was how powerful and strong you were. If you could climb something, you would. If you weren't supposed to go somewhere, like outside, that didn't stop you from charging the door every time we came in and out. Boy, did you love being outside, running free. Bet you're doing a lot of that nowadays, huh? You also began a lifelong love affair with canned food. There wasn't a can too big for the likes of your bottomless belly. Both Matt and I remember giving you your first can, a small one. You were so little, you didn't know how to put your mouth around it, nor how to eat it fast enough. You decided to hold it in place with both of your paws as you attacked it with your mouth. You had it all over your face when you were done. You were about 3 months old at that point. A couple months later, we decided to test you with a big can of food, to which we witnessed you eat with voracious vigor, and just when we thought you couldn't fit any more into that little belly of yours, you quickly excused yourself to the cat box to make more room, and you came back to continue eating. There are many more stories from your kittenhood that will stay with us forever. Hands down, I believe canned cat food, was your most favorite thing in life. Not all stories from when you were a kitten were great, though. Like the time you got a hold of an Advil pill and licked the candy coating off of it. You were so sick, as Advil is very deadly for kitties. We almost lost you then at 4 months of age, but you pulled through. You'd wait all day at the animal hospital for my visit after work. The vet techs always mentioned to me how you hardly moved or ate all day, but as soon as you saw me, you'd perk right up, come say hi, and you got stronger and stronger every day. You were always my little fighter. Not even lifelong kidney damage could keep you down. Although as a side effect, you would develop a drinking problem for the rest of your life. Of course, you'd prefer it from the tap. You were spoiled, after all. One other thing you loved was boxes, or any small spot or container you could squeeze into. Your motto must have been, "If I fit, I sits," because you tried it all. My favorite time was when we watched you try to figure out how to fit yourself into an empty Kleenex box. You would put one paw in and realize that that wouldn't fit. You'd take that arm out and place your other one in, this time approaching it from the opposite way. You would continue this for a good 10 or 15 minutes before you gave up with a huff. You always did that when you couldn't get your way or something didn't work out the way you wanted it to. We called it your Lasai, and this mostly was demonstrated when Matt was corporal cuddling you after you did something you shouldn't have been doing. It was your little protest in a way. But our bond continued to grow even stronger, although we couldn't help but feel a little surprised when we found out you were actually a male kitty. You had everyone fooled that you were a girl. It took us forever to get used to calling you a he, but you didn't mind. You were my official study buddy as I went to school to become a teacher. For some reason, you always decided that the most perfect place to lay was in the textbook I was reading from, or the keyboard on my laptop. You definitely made sure to distract me with all your cuteness every chance you could get. You knew what you were doing. You were spoiled. And at the same time, we really understood each other. It didn't matter that I was a human and you were a cat. Like I said, we were more than that. You also were a stinker. You were my stinker twinker. You liked to push the limits a lot on what you could do or get away with. Sometimes you would shock me with how brazen you'd be, whether it was getting up on things you shouldn't be, escaping the house and playing a game of chase me, sitting at the dinner table begging for food, using our carpeted stairs as your kitty scratcher, even though you had plenty of scratching posts around the house. Then there was the time that you decided you wanted to lay on top of the towels in the vanity in the bathroom. The whole thing came crashing down, and yet to this day there's a gouge in the wall still from where it hit. Oh, and let us not forget the times that you always kept us up at night because you wanted to come into the room and snuggle with me in bed, so you would scratch or howl, well, yowl, I guess it would be, at the top of your lungs until we let you in. That's okay. I had my way to get you back, too. I always sang to you. You hated my singing. You also hated water, and the squirt bottle? Well, that was your biggest nightmare. Your love, though, was never wavering, and you mostly welcomed anyone who came into our home, whether it was friends, family, other cats, and our chinchilla. Our dog, Bianca, well, that was always a tough one for you. She was truly your nemesis, and that rivalry was something that once again almost cost you your life. But I'll get to that later. Matt and I always considered you to be our family's official ambassador. With each new cat we brought into our home, you took them on, showed them the ropes, just as Marble had shown you when you were a kitten. You would play with them, cuddle with them, come to them when they were crying, and you showed them how to be part of our family. Oh yeah, you also never hesitated to put them in their place if they needed it too. Except for Pippa. She was a different breed. I always thought of you as the cool kitty uncle, always there if they needed you. Always laid back, sometimes too laid back, even allowing them to do things like taking cat naps on the kitchen table. Like most cats, you were a cat that liked to sleep. You could sleep anywhere, in any position. As a kitten, you'd fall asleep on your back with your paws raised above your head. All I had to do was gently rub your nose, and you'd quickly slip into dreamland. Perhaps the funniest thing about your sleeping was how you'd lay. You could contort yourself into the craziest positions. They couldn't have been comfortable, were they? As you grew older, you also became cuddlier. Of course, you always had time to cuddle with the other kitties in the house, but you were over 1 year old before you decided I was worthy of that honor. I remember the first time you actually chose to cuddle with me. Of course, it was a hot summer day. Your fluffy body took up my entire torso, and you wanted to curl your arms and head up under my chin like a scarf. I took this picture to document the momentous occasion, because it had never happened before, and I was sure it would be the last. Thankfully, though, it wasn't. You became my snuggle buddy after that, always using me as your personal pillow or being the little spoon. I cherish the times that where you would use my arm as your pillow and snuggle into me tightly as you cheerfully purred yourself to sleep. You never minded me wrapping myself around you. Your purrs were the best. You always seemed to know when I needed you the most, and I always knew that you loved me as much as I loved you. You showed that to me in so many ways every day. As I said earlier, you were my buddy in every sense of the matter. I could barely go to the bathroom without you following me. If I didn't let you in, I'd hear about the entire time I was in there. You continued to check my schoolwork and made sure I was grading my students fairly, even appearing on Zoom calls during staff meetings or when I was working with students online during distance learning. You were there for me during my darkest times, always ready and willing to displace any pain or stress we were going through. I always knew that you had my back. My favorite story from when we moved into our current place was when Matt and our friend Kate were driving you here. You were not happy that Kate wasn't me and sat next to Matt on the way to this house. You were in the back hissing at her the entire time, even though you really liked Kate. After all, she'd bring you great treats and toys like catnip cigars. You were always such a big part of our home life. I think that's the hardest part about you no longer being around. As I write this, you've been gone for a week now. Yet I still look for you every day, excited to share with you the things about my day. I'm so grateful that you got to be part of our lives for almost 13 years. No one expected you to live that long. You certainly used many of your 9 lives, from the Advil incident mentioned earlier to last year, when you decided to not so smartly pick a fight with our Bianca. The Malamute? Yeah, your nemesis. Once again, we saw you fight for your life, fight to be with us. I'll forever be grateful to our family members that made the surgery you needed happen, and to the animal hospital for bringing the price down so it could happen as well. I think all of us would still agree, though, we would have chosen to save you at that time, even knowing that you'd only be with us for another year. Thanks again for being a fighter. Even as we watched you deteriorate over the last week of your life, I noticed that you were still fighting. You never wanted us to fuss over you. You always wanted to appear strong. You were so strong. Even as I was saying goodbye to you in the exam room last week, tears streaming from our eyes, you tried to get up to comfort me, and even mustered a meow, as if to tell me that it'd all be okay. You were suffering so much, and you had had a painful aneurysm, and you were slowly dying. They had placed you on pain meds to make you more comfortable, but there was nothing more that could be done for you. The blood clot was either from your heart murmur or your kidney damage. It was hard to tell, since both can produce those things. Or so we were told. The rest plays like a slow, silent movie. We discussed options for your remains. I remember signing papers for what was about to happen, and I paid the bill. Still doesn't feel like any of that was real. I watched you peacefully slip away, part of my heart. To say that we had a special bond, that you were a special cat, is really an understatement. I'm so thankful for all the memories, the private moments. Yes, even the times where you were being a stinker. I love them all. And although my heart hurts so much right now, I know it will get better in time. Here with Marble now, and I'm sure you're hearing about all the things you should have done and the times she's disapproved of your choices. That's the kind of cat Marble was. Do me a favor. Tell her hi from us. Remind her that we love and miss her too. But now is the time, my dear sweet Twink, that I must let you go. I'll cherish our relationship forever. I'll never forget that I was truly loved by a cat. What a gift. It is our honor and privilege to have been your owners. You will always be my baby boy. Love you to the moon and back. Sincerely, your humans.
Perfect. The carriage waits.
Twinkie, you want help? Twink. Good boy. Good boy, Twink. You okay? Huh?
Kitty choir.
Okay.
It's my kitty choir. What, guys? What? You want something? I'm working as best as I can, guys. Twink. You gonna come back in now? Or you gonna sit there and rub up all over me? Twink. Come on. It's time to come home. Come here. Kiki. Hey, fluffy stuff. Come on. Come here. Come on, butt. Tale as old as time, true as it can be. Barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Just a little change, don't leave me. Small to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beautiful